Okay, we are back and we're bringing on Gracie J. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Good
What?
morning.
What up? What up? How you feeling, Gracie?
I feel good. I feel good.
That's
I'm hot
good.
as fuck right now. I don't know
Yeah,
about
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Same
It's
here. My
cozy.
shirt, my shirt's starting to drench a little
I'm
bit, but
like,
we're gonna get through that.
Nah,
yeah,
but nah,
so if like
definitely.
if y'all see any puddles like or whatever,
Oh, you
that's how
good? You
I
good?
You look cozy though. You look
Right? Yeah,
comfortable though.
exactly. But definitely
cozy and
glad that
hot.
you stopped. Definitely glad that you stepped on the show for sure. Just to give a little context to how I even, met Gracie. It was definitely New York Fashion Week. I think 2019, the fall. She was just fly as hell in the streets, and I was
Yeah.
I was on my street photography shit, just catching fits and just seeing whatever I thought it was fly. I was just snapping shit. I seen Gracie. I was like, "Yo, boom, get a photo." She's like, "Hell yeah, boom." Snap that shit up, send it to her, and then just from there, what I'm saying, we always just been talking, just
Yeah.
relaying, what I'm saying, just
Yeah.
giving each other support, whatever the fuck we've been doing. So definitely like shout out to Gracie and
That's
shit like
very
that.
dope.
Yeah,
That's
Shout
for
out,
it's
sure.
shout
like
out
some
to
of the best
you.
relationships are serendipitous. My bad. Go ahead.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Like, shout out to you. It was just such a random moment because I'm an awkward as fuck
Random.
person. And I'm awkward as hell. And the fact that I even left the house that day to go all the way to the city to like, take pictures with my friend Marta was just
Yeah,
like
Marta. Shout out
out of the
Marta.
yeah, like it was so out of the norm. And I was like, okay. And I was like,
Yeah.
You
Nah.
said me?
me?
Facts. But so yeah, man, you're an amazing nail tech, but I feel like you're so much more than that.
Nail
You know what I
artist.
mean? Yeah, you're
A
literally a
Renaissance
renaissance
woman.
woman, a whole artist, like a real artist. But I do want to know, I mean, you said that you're kind of shy and stuff like that, but how have you kind of
I'm not
separated yourself?
shy.
Oh, okay. What was the word
I'm
you used?
awkward. I'm awkward. I'm
Awkward. Okay, yeah, there is a big
In the
difference
words of Issa Rae, I am definitely an awkward black girl, but I'm not
for
shy.
sure.
I don't.
For
Hey,
sure.
there
Not
it
shy.
goes.
I'm
Okay,
Make the
awkward.
yeah.
distinction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Because I was gonna say, like, you can't be if you put yourself out there in the way that you have, like, and I kind of want to know, how have you kind of separated yourself from being just considered a nail tech? You know what I mean?
Um, I think it just comes from just being a kid and always kind of knowing that I was like just a little different from everyone, especially growing up in a Caribbean household. And every my mom was like, "I'm not getting you no Nikes, I'm not getting you no Jordans, I'm not getting no." It was
Right.
always like the Payless brands and stuff. So from a
Same,
Right.
very
yeah.
young age,
I resonate.
Yep.
yeah,
Payless for
I
sure.
had to get real comfortable real quick with being different from everyone else. So it was like it was either I was going to kind of be like, oh, woe is me, I feel shitty about myself, or it was gonna be, kind of, just do what you can with what you have. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
I think I really took that mentality with me into adulthood. And even in the nail space, when decided that I was going to leave the corporate world and become a nail artist, I went full in and I was like, all right, what am I seeing in the industry that I want to see, and how can I do that and set myself apart? I've never wanted to be like everybody else. I just don't. I think that's corny as hell.
Right.
It
No,
is.
hundred
It
percent.
is.
It's
You're right.
corny. It really is. It's corny if you make it your life's mission to really like be like if your intention is to really go out there and be like, I'm gonna be like this person, then that's corny as fuck.
No,
Mhm.
100%.
So it's just, yeah, I've
I was
just
gonna
been
say,
like,
could you
ooh.
could you speak to that transition, like, because I'm not even aware of your corporate background. So, like,
Facts.
as being somebody as I see with so many outlets for how you get your creativity off, how was it like being in a position, I guess, when you're in a corporate setting, and I guess it's a matter of time, right? You can't give time to the other things that you feel like, yo, if I put my
Right.
all into this, I feel like I can really be taking advantage of my situation, or just really being in the place in life where I want to be. So, like, how was that transition for you? And when did you realize you're like, you know what? I got to just dive in and just bank on myself.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing nails as a hobby since I was 13, and just like full
Okay.
transparency, I'm about to be 33, so for about like 20 years now.
Hey. Okay.
So it was just something that I've always just done as a kid, but I never thought I could make a career out of it until I was in a corporate setting. When I graduated college, I graduated in like 2011, 2012, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. I've literally applied to hundreds and thousands of jobs. No one's calling me
Right.
back,
Right.
and I need to figure something out. But also, there's a difference in how you approach life when you're in your 20s and when you're like in your late 20s and in your 30s. in your 20s, I feel like you feel so invincible. You can do anything and you can just fuck up over and over and over again. And you feel like
Right.
time is on your side. So I was very aware that at a younger age, that I could just, take advantage of that right then and there, explore all the things I wanted to explore. And if it didn't work out, fuck it. Um, when I was in the corporate world, so before I even got into nails, I know I decided I wanted to be in beauty. I've always, really loved everything about beauty. I did
Right.
Fashion Week backstage when it was, at Lincoln Center, when it was Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. And I was
Okay.
like, oh my God, I'm like enamored by this shit. I love this.
Right.
And going into the corporate space, I decided, I was going to kind of gear towards that. I went into the corporate space, and my last corporate job was working as the executive assistant to the VP at MAC Cosmetics. And
Okay.
an invoice came across my desk. And this was an invoice from a manicurist that was working on set for one of their jobs. And she was getting paid for like a 1 to 2 day shoot more than what I was working doing for over 40 hours a week.
That's
And
what do it. That'll do it
yeah,
right
and I
there.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, and I just remember one of the college advisors that I used to like sit and talk to all the time. One of the things she told me before I graduated was, she said, when you go out in the world, she said, wherever you are, whoever you're with, whatever job you're at, no matter how minuscule you think it is, read everything. And I took that with me and I literally read everything. It could have been a receipt. I read it. It was like a piece of paper. I read it. And because I took the time to thoroughly read what that piece of paper was, it changed the trajectory of my life. Because
Wow.
I was like, I could do this and I could do this
Yeah.
better. So I'm going to
Yeah.
go for
It's like
it.
I'm on the wrong side of this transaction.
Yo,
Right.
I want to work smarter and not harder. I want to do
For
less for
sure.
That's what's
more.
up.
I mean, granted, it's not, I don't want to take away from like, the amount of work that it takes to do what I do and, for other
Right.
people like myself who are in this creative field. But, you know, I'm gonna say 8 times out of 10, it beats like, being in an office. And that's like no shade
Yeah.
to anyone who does a 9 to 5. Like that's a whole other beast of its own.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I took that transition. I hit up my aunt and I was like, I think I'm gonna go do nails. She was like, can you have a sustainable life doing it? I was like, yeah. She's like, go for it. And so I went, I never looked back, and I was like, I think in the back of my head, I was like, if I'm gonna do this for like a year or two, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, but
Right.
by the time that ball was rolling and that snowball was like getting bigger and bigger, I couldn't stop. And I was just like, no, like, why would I stop?
Right.
Why would I
For sure. For
stop?
sure. I'm kind of curious to know what was the first step that you took? Because I think when, we're all creatives here, it's not easy to kind of build your life off of your creativity in a way that is
Mhm.
sustainable for
Mm.
yourself
Right.
financially. It's not an easy thing to do. It's doable, of course, but it's so hard to kind of put yourself out there. Like, it's not even just that you have to be good at the art that you do. You have to market yourself. Like, you literally have to
Right.
put yourself out there so people know that you're available, so people know that you know what I'm saying, that you're for hire, and or all these kind of things. You got to put yourself out there in a way that doesn't come natural to everybody, especially artists. So how, one, did you have a knack for that? And two, if you didn't, or whether you did or not, what was those first like couple steps looking like for you when you went off on your own?
So I've always had a knack for business. Is just an entrepreneurship. My first
Right.
email address, I was like entrepreneur 16 at like
Really?
yes,
Really?
at like
That's crazy.
AIM.com, AOL.com. I remember just being mad excited about that because from a young age, I grew up in a single parent home and my mom worked her ass off. Like this woman worked her ass off. She did what she could, with what she was given. And I just
Right.
remember just I've always been a really observant kid, to the point where my mom said I was nosy, but I beg to differ. So I
He said,
always,
"Mom, I'm just curious. I'm
right,
inquisitive."
I'm very, right. And I just remember just watching her and just seeing our parents. I think a lot of times, at times they try to hide a lot from us, but kids are just
Mm.
very in tune. And so I just remember watching her and just seeing that, she worked her ass off and she had like,
Right.
2 kids on her own working. And, at 8, sometimes she was leaving me by myself in the house with my baby sister. And until you get to a certain age, then you're like, oh shit, like, you know, the sacrifices and certain things your parent, you know, okay, but that's besides the point. I'm going off on a tangent.
No, but
But I
that's
resonate
real.
so much. I think about that
I'm
so
trying to tell you.
often. It's like when I was growing up, I had one vision of what my parents were. As I've gotten older, I start to look back at what they were doing, and I'm like, oh, like
It hits
Right.
different.
like what
It
they
hits
were
different.
doing and what I was picking up are completely different. Now that I'm
Yeah,
an adult, I can see that.
yes. You know how when they tell you, oh, when you grew up, you'll understand. And when you grew up, you
Yeah,
Yeah,
for real.
understand.
that's a
Facts.
fact. That's a fact.
Adulting is hard. But
Yeah.
I just
Nah,
remember
that's
just
a
seeing her
fact.
and thinking to myself, I don't want this life. I don't want this
Mm.
life. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to. And I just remember I used to do these things where we used to get like the Toys R Us circulars that used to come to the house. And I would go through and circle the little toys I want and count how much money that it would cost. And I would think to
Oh
myself,
man,
well,
you
if my
old.
mom had $50, if my mom had $100, then we could afford to get this toy. I would do this constantly. And it just
Wow.
really clicked something in my head where I was like, I don't want to be like this. And I kind of
Mhm.
attributed that to, and even hearing her complain about her employers and shit, I attributed that to working for someone. And I was like, I don't
Mhm.
want to fucking work for anybody ever in my life.
Mm.
So that pushed me to like want to do entrepreneurial stuff. Like in high school, I was making like tape and paper wallets and selling them for $2, like turning, you
Wow.
know, like just cutting out magazine collages. Like, let's say that shit
Ooh,
was cute. It
selling
was cute.
wallets. That's
It was
different.
That's
Yo,
cute.
crazy.
going.
Yo, like,
That's
listen,
crazy.
I was like 13, 14, 15, and like just calculating, okay, if it takes me 15 minutes to make this and I charge $2 for it and I make this much, how much can I make? And that would be like my little lunch money, my little side hustle.
Yo,
And
going
then
That's
in.
awesome.
eventually, yeah, and eventually when my mom saw that, she took me to like one of those craft stores in the city to like, you know, get those like fake leather and shit so I can make my own leather wallets, which I started
Mhm.
doing, but I never like kept on. But shout out to Ian Kamen. Ian Kamen was a high school teacher. He was like social studies or something, and then he advocated to have an entrepreneurship class for the
Mm.
school.
That's tough.
And I remember seeing that and I was like, I have to take that class. So he really, even with that, that even sparked even more me because it showed me what was possible and it showed me how easy certain things could be. You know, he
It
got
kind of
us like a
demystifies like the like kind of demystifies some things.
Right.
yes. It was just like, oh, this is actually possible because we tend to
Yeah.
overcomplicate things. And
Yeah.
especially as Black folks, you know, I really hate with a passion when people say, oh, you know, as Black people, we got to work twice as hard for half of what they got. No, motherfucker, no, the fuck, I'm not. I'm gonna work to the
Right.
capacity, right? Like I'm not a fucking
Right.
machine. I'm gonna
Yeah.
work to the capacity that I can and to my potential, and you're either going to accept my shit or you're not.
Mhm.
But you
100%.
know, I love my work. I believe in what I stand for. I move through life with integrity. I know my shit is dope. I know I'm fucking dope. So it's either you with it or you not.
Yeah.
And you know, as the young lady on TikTok, what is her name? K Not Bay, as she says, the girls that get it, and the girls
Mhm.
that don't.
Yeah.
So I forgot what the question was. I know.
Nah, but not.
You definitely went down the route, and I feel like
I
I brought up
did.
more questions, but it was just basically like what was the first step that you took,
But
and
Wow.
yeah,
you got that. That was
Well,
yeah, that,
yeah,
nah, but
but
that
you
was
got there.
it was
Like
the
it was the
gist
paper
though.
wallets, and you kind of
Yeah.
saw in your mom like what you saw what you didn't want for yourself, which kind of like
right,
brought along what you do want for yourself. You
Right.
know.
And I
right,
was gonna
yeah.
even speak to so now that when you start building in your craft or whatnot, when do you start getting to the point where you're like you're getting that traction or you're in this position where you're like, yo, like I'm a sought after name or
Yeah.
like how does that start feeling? Because you know you start having these type of clients where it's like there's levels to the clients, and
Right.
there's levels
There's
to the
levels to
budget.
the shit.
There's
Hey,
people could be like,
we
yo,
gotta
Gracie, I need some.
we
You're
gotta
like,
get into the clause.
what's
Hey, we
the
gotta get into
what's
clause.
the bag looking like? Like, we gotta make sure it makes sense for all parties involved, So like when do you start getting to the point where you're like, oh man, like maybe I need to I
I'm
like
a commodity. I'm hot shit.
yeah,
No,
facts.
it's like it's taken a while. It's taken a while to get there, and I think it comes with the community that's around you. when
Word.
your friends and your family and even like, you know, the community that you've built on social media, when they start like really affirming, like, no,
Right.
you're it, like you're the shit, like the things that you
Right.
do is very different from what anybody else is doing. And so your eyes start opening a little bit more and you start seeing, wait, I'm really pushing the envelope. I'm really, you know,
Right.
doing certain things that are not out there. And I started even realizing it more with myself when I realized shit that I was saying 5, 6 years ago, that I was saying, this is the trend. These are some terms that, you know, we should be looking at and stuff like that. And then now they're
Right.
popping up. I was like, oh, I was like, okay. I'm like,
I'm on to something.
Right.
I got the eye
right.
for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I got the eye for it. I'm onto something. And you know, the more you create, the more you hone in on your craft, the better you get at your craft, the more you start even surprising yourself. And you're like, oh
Right.
shit, I didn't know I could do that. That
And like,
turning point for me, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
no, I'm not. I didn't even know. Please continue. I got it right on top.
No, I was gonna say the turning point for me was when I had like a vision for a project and I decided that I was gonna produce and creatively direct a shoot. And you know, within like less than 3 weeks, I put together a whole team. I got a location, I got, you know, food, and I got this down to every detail. And after that was done, I was like, oh shit, I can actually do this. Like this actually came
Right.
out pretty fucking good. That was like I was like, oh no, I was like, y'all started something, y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know what you got.
Shit, nah.
You're not
Y'all
gonna
don't
see
even know
me
what you
again.
Right.
listen, yesterday's price.
Yeah.
Literally.
I'm weak.
Nah.
Shout out
And
to
like, so
Joe.
now what? Right. And now since you start, you know, now that you start really realizing the value of what it is that you start contributing, can you talk to the importance now of protecting your own IP in these spaces and making sure people don't play with your brand? Because this is something I know that you have to deal with constantly. And it's like a matter of, if I don't deal with it, guess what? They will run off. They will play. They will try to profit off of maybe something that I've brought to the market or shit like that. So can you speak to that side of the business? Because I feel like a lot of artists and creatives sometimes, you know, they want to just think about the creativity, the passion, or whatever it is.
They want to sweep it under
but
the rug.
you don't want to
it's
think.
gonna
You
happen.
have to think about the legalities of everything that you're dealing with.
Yeah, you have to think about these things. And I think especially coming up as like, you know, a nail tech and then, you know, a nail artist and being in that particular space, when you look in the beauty industry, when you see how the industry kind of moves, they kind of treat us like the bottom of the barrel, right? So I think a lot of nail techs and nail artists kind of, you know, when they think about business, they don't necessarily think about it from the perspective that they fall under the creative umbrella. So I've kind of had to like really, just based on the work that I've created over time and having to to shift my mind and be like, no, I'm an artist and nail art is a medium. And one of the things that I strive to do is shifting the perspective of how nail art exists in the beauty and the art space. So like the first time I ever heard of like trademark, there's this nail artist that I used to work with back in the day. Her name is Natalie. And I saw, like, she was the first person that I saw that went off on her own, opened her own, like, you know, business as an independent nail artist. So I reached out to her. And one of the things she told me, she was like, you need to trademark your brand. I was like, I was like, what's that? She's like, you need to legally register your name. She's like, and get a lawyer and pay a lawyer to do it for you. And she was like, I know it, you know, you're gonna look at the prices and hear their rates. You're gonna think it's expensive, but it's the best investment you will ever make in your life. And
Good
I,
game right there. That was a good
yo,
game
For
right
sure.
there.
Natalie,
sure.
like Natalie
That shit is
really kind.
expensive, but it is.
Oh,
Do
it's
it. You need to do it.
expensive. Yeah, but it's an investment. Would you rather spend like, you know, 3, 4, 5 stacks now and protect your brand, or having to or see like, you know, multi-million dollar company or even another smaller brand jack your whole shit and profit from it and make mad bread off of it? And then now you're sitting here and you can't even fight it because you don't fucking own the trademark, so you can't defend your work. And even when you own the fucking trademark to your business,
still
there
a
are
fight.
certain things it's still a fight. There are certain things you still can't fight. So that like really just took me like on a run, because I was like, no, I need to trademark everything. And that's so important because your intellectual property is an asset. Your intellectual property is yours. Like, there's ownership is major. I don't remember the person that I heard this from. I was watching like roundtable that Kanye did with the Black people in media.
Okay.
And someone on there, oh my God, I don't remember this woman's name. I did quote her on Twitter. I wish I remembered. My brain doesn't work as well as it used to.
We'll get in the
But
show notes.
we'll get it in there. And I remember her saying, like, you know, your intellectual property is your equity. It is your legacy. And we all know about ownership. When you think about, you know, historically, especially as Black folks in this country and even around the world, historically, you know, ownership is not something that we were taught to really, like, you know, be on top of. And even when we did own certain things, it was taken away. When you look throughout history and all these, you know, inventions that were created, there were a lot of Black inventors, but you seldom see them get credit for it, or you see niggas like Thomas Edison were jacking patents left and right to keep people from getting, you know, from getting credit and money off of what they were creating. So I was like, nah, I need to protect everything. I keep everything, not everything, but I keep things close to my chest. I had to really shift my mentality and think to myself, okay, if I really do see myself as a brand and I see myself as a growing company, then I have to start thinking like these big fish, because anything they do, they're protecting everything. This is why you see even the Kardashians left and right, they're popping up with trademarks left and right, because they want ownership of their things. And anything that has to do with making money, you want to get profit and residual income from your own shit. Like, you know,
100%.
especially as artists, we don't only create, you know, to sustain a livelihood, but we create because we're like, this is like something that's like right here. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's, you know, your
and you see
innermost
that
passion.
through what you do. Yeah, and you see it.
Like,
you can see it through your shit for sure.
Like I really like, that's just, I don't even have words. Just like, you know, certain artists have, you know, a canvas, or some people, you know, do screen printing, or you have architects that deal with, you know, building, you know, structures and shit, interior designs. Like as a nail tech, as a nail artist, it's the same thing. And if anything, put some respect on our fucking name. So we be putting art on tiny ass canvases. Like
for sure. Bro, I look at some of the detail that goes into nails, like not just you. There's some amazing people out there in the beauty industry that do. I mean, you see it. I'm not you know what I'm saying? You see it on TikToks, and you see it on Instagram and all that type of stuff. There's some amazing work that's being done with nails, and I'm looking at the detail. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, what utensil are you using to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, use these to make these fine details.
Yo,
like, it's really,
like the brushes,
actually.
be like as thin as an eyelash. Like,
yeah.
But and yeah, like
it's so crazy. We making like she'll.
Oh no, you're different.
She'll set up a whole museum.
You're different. You got the museum. You got the props. You got the
to literally display what she made.
You got the little people admiring the nails.
Like what?
No, because in art,
different for real.
But because in art, people won't always see what you see.
Right.
Where you see yourself, people won't always see that. And you know, the ideas that come to your mind, you know, the ways in which you know you want to, you know, showcase your work, where and who with, you can say it to someone, but nothing beats that than showing them what it looks like.
Right.
So when I say I am going to have my work in a prestigious museum one day, and y'all don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about.
See what I mean?
You see what I
Let
mean? Like, come on. Like, come on. But yeah, like even like, but going back to what you were saying about intellectual property, there's no way in hell, and like you were saying also about, you know, seeing these artists out there that are just like, you know, killing it, there is no way in hell that, you know, you're creating these, you know, amazing bodies of work and you wouldn't want to protect it.
Right.
Spend the money, invest in yourself, be mindful of how you're speaking over yourself. Don't say, oh, you know, I'm broke, I can't afford it. I am investing in myself. This is going to come back to me tenfold. I am securing my future. Your intellectual property, like I said before, is an asset. Ownership is major, and you can get bread off of it.
Now, what you said, that's an important point. What you said as far as like how you speak to yourself. Like me personally in my life, I probably never say I can't afford something. I'm always telling myself like I can afford it when I get it, or when I get when I make the
Mhm.
time to make the money for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can save for anything. You know what I'm saying? So there's really nothing in your life that you can't afford. You just gotta position it in your head of like, oh, like, okay, you don't have the money for it right now, but at some
Right.
point, at any time you make a plan for it, you can acquire the money for it. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Especially when that shit's like priority to you.
Yeah, especially when it's important. Like,
Yeah.
when there's things, we're not like, I'm not talking about a trip here. I'm talking about
Right.
things that you need. Like, you know, we do these podcasts and these videos. Like, it costs a lot of money to buy all this equipment and everything like that. But, you know, I've accumulated a lot of equipment over like 5 to 10 years. And people, when I go to shoots, people are like, oh, like, how'd you get all this stuff? It's like, dog, like, I've stacked little by little for a 7-year period. You know what I'm saying?
Rome was not built in a day.
Exactly.
It definitely
But I
was
do
not.
want to get into I know that this is an NFT show. We talk about NFTs and stuff a lot.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Brooke told me he helped you with NFTs.
Yo, I
with
got
your
the
NFT
first.
collection.
I got the first Gracie J.
I peeped
NFT.
your
That's some
joint on. I peeped your
exclusive shit
Rarible
right there.
page. You got a couple of crazy NFTs on
Yeah,
Rarible.
you know.
I want to know, like, yeah, like, what's your NFT journey been like? How have you brought your
What's your
art
take
into
on it?
NFTs? Yeah, what's your take? We kind of just want to shoot the shit about
So
what you think about NFTs.
I love it. Okay, so so my partner and his friends and his family, like, they're very, very heavy into crypto. And they, like, way before it became mainstream, you know, during quarantine, when everybody wanted to talk about these motherfuckers been investing in crypto forever. And the one thing that he would always say is, like, every single minute, especially during quarantine, when, you know, you're in close quarters with somebody, and every day it's like,
Right.
crypto. And I'm like, if I hear this crypto thing one more, I'm like, I get it.
That's when it was jumping too.
Right.
On Clubhouse,
was
like, niggas were
like-
talking about crypto.
Right.
every day. And I was like, I get it. Like, you know, and he was like having me invest in things left and right and teaching me about, you know, cryptocurrency and that space. And I was like, oh yeah, like, I understand it from like, you know, a monetary, what's the word?
Like a value standpoint?
Yeah, from a value standpoint.
Like, it is real value.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's the same way. So my partner works in tech, and one thing that he always told me was, if you want to progress in society, you have to follow technology. And when I remember as a kid, and I'm like, this makes me feel so fucking old. But I remember as a kid in New York City, when, you know, when you would have to pay the fare in the subway, you had to pay tokens, right? And then it went from tokens, we're like, oh, we're not using tokens anymore and quarters. Now we got to use Metro cards. And then now we're not talking about using Metro cards anymore. Now people could just tap their debit cards or credit cards or whatever, and you can just go through. So if you really kind of, like, you know, follow where society is going in terms of, oh God, what's the word for, like, money? What's that other word?
Currency?
I forgot.
Fiat.
No. Yeah, I guess fiat system.
Yeah, fiat. Yeah, fiat system.
Am I saying? I guess
fiat
whatever.
currency.
Oh,
Tomato.
Tomato. If you kind of look at, you know, just the trajectory of, like, you know, how money is evolving and how the usage of money is evolving, it's heading towards more digital. And so I was like, okay, like, you know, he got a point there. But as an artist, it wasn't really clicking with me of how it could relate to me and how I could really, you know, take advantage of the space. It wasn't until his cousin hit me up and he sent me a link, and he was like, he's like, there's this NFT thing happening, and there's this, like, you know, website called Rarible, and there's people putting art up. And he was like, I know your work is dope. He's like, some of these niggas on here some shit and they look trash. But he was like, listen, you know, you might want to take a look at it. Took a look, kind of sat on it for a couple of months. And it wasn't until I started sitting in on the Clubhouse rooms, and I was just popping in and just listening and asking questions, that I was like, oh, okay, crypto, NFTs, nail artists. I see how, you know, I see how this resonates. So, so, like, my partner and his friends and his cousin, they're constantly sending resources to me, you know, to, like, you know, read up on things and stay on top of things. And even Brooke too, like, Brooke really, like, I'd be like, yo, I have this idea, you know, and Brooke.
Fact. I just get like, yo, Let's run with it.
Yeah.
Yo, and even tying this back to even protecting your intellectual property, right? Like I trust Brooke, but I was like, nigga, you don't have to sign this NDA because this shit is too fine. I was like,
Hey, no shame in that. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
listen, I was like, this shit is too
I trust
fire.
you enough to tell you it early, but I got
I
gotta protect myself.
Brooke is a real one because some people, like, they don't, when you are conducting business, you have to do business shit. And not a lot of people understand that. Sometimes when you do that, the person takes it personal, like, oh,
they
trust
take
blah,
it
blah,
personal.
blah.
It's like, yo, it's
they
not
take it personal.
It's literally not personal.
It's business.
It's
literally
business.
not.
It's such a sign of trust.
Yeah.
That I'm giving.
That I want to do, but also that I want to do business
Right.
with you, or that I want to like talk to you about my business idea. Like,
100%.
So, but the moment I told Brooke, he was like, say less. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a real nigga right there. But, but like, we exchange ideas, like, all the time. And I tell him about, the ideas that I have, which I hope one day, that one day will come into fruition. But I love the space. Like, I love everything about it. I love what I could do with it. It was one of those things that I wanted to, I haven't sold anything yet, which is perfectly fine, but I wasn't really pressed to like really sell anything. It was more so, it was more so just like an outlet for me to challenge myself, to expand my horizons artistically and kind of go back to my roots when, drawing, was like my first love and stuff. So I was like, let me explore things that I liked as a kid and, let me process, going through this pandemic and being stuck in the house. Let me just, create art. So that's, kind of how I got some of my NFTs on there. And like my first series is like the Cats G series because I'm obsessed with cats. I have 3. I've been obsessed with cats since I was a kid. Where can we find your work in the NFT?
Oh, they looking for
literally.
it. Oh, they looking for it.
Drop that Rarible.
Yeah, we gonna drop that link.
So yeah, I have stuff on Rarible. I believe I have some stuff on Foundation as well as OpenSea. Castrology is primarily on OpenSea because those gas fees, be low as hell, when you're putting out collections. So you gotta save the money. But
talk about
like,
investments. Talk about an investment. Yeah.
Listen, but like I was like, I want to explore like my childhood musings. I've been obsessed with cats since I was little. I used to draw cats all the time, sometimes in very precarious situations. I'm like,
that reminds me of Super Bad when he's drawing the penises like on a rocket ship.
Kids love drawing dicks and stuff and just weird shit, and I would draw like cats. But I was like, okay, let me just explore this shit.
You said, no, Gracie, that's weird. That is weird, Gracie. You draw cats for? What's wrong with you?
No, but they were cat people. They were cat
that is weird.
They were cat people. Like they had cat faces, but they had human body. Listen, I don't know.
No, yeah.
I'm not. Listen,
it's getting weirder. It's getting weirder.
Okay, I just listen because I know this is gonna live on the internet. I just want to clarify. I'm not into like weird shit.
There you good.
We trust that.
I definitely want to shout out Gracie too. She definitely pulled up to Cohesion. You guys might have even passed and I even realized.
Oh yeah,
she
probably,
definitely pulled up to the
there.
Cohesion gallery. She even grabbed one of Mark's pieces.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I do. Listen, I cannot wait.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's gotta get run
NFT NYC coming up, so we trying to cook up.
Wait,
some
when is
shit.
NFT NYC?
It's at the end of June.
Oh, it's lit.
Yeah. About to run that thing back.
For sure.
It's lit. It's lit.
But yeah, you got anything?
Nah, man. I really appreciate having this conversation with you. Before we let you go, like definitely let people know. I don't know if you dropped the names of your accounts on like Rarible, OpenSea, and everything like that. But let people know where they can. No, you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about this because I think it's so interesting. Right. But I heard you had done some work on claws, and I wanted to know, like the show on TNT. I wanted to know because I'm super into like television and film, the whole industry. So I kind of wanted to know like how that experience came about, and what your time working on that show was like. Well, yeah, bad things to say. It wasn't lit.
No, let me say this. The opportunity came about from what I was told. I had done a feature. I had gotten featured on Essence and had my nail art on it, and allegedly that's how they found me. It was a really great experience from the perspective of like learning a lot about how to be a leader, how to, navigate, that particular space. And
Mm,
also it prepared me for future opportunities because now, I know if somebody hits me up to be, the department head for a TV show for nails, I know exactly what to do. I know how to break down a script. I know how to read a call sheet. I know how to like, leverage relationships with brands, like, to work around budgets and shit. I know all these things and I've learned and I've, really spiced up my skills. But as far as like, I'm gonna just say the industry is weird. like the
You know,
the
I really appreciate you speaking on that because I do see that. Like I've seen that because I really like deep dive into like the behind the scenes things of like
mm-hmm.
different shows and just the industry in general. And I feel like if you're not somebody who, was kind of like raised in it, there's people who are like lifers in Hollywood. And I
Right.
feel like if you're not one of those kind of people, it's strange.
It's a
You know
it's
what
a
I'm saying?
culture.
Like how they
No,
deal
it's
with
a
each other.
culture
It's its own
shock.
community. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but like it's a culture shock. It is. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm very thankful that my friend Alyssa was down there with me because I really needed that emotional support and the work support because it was a lot of fucking work. And not because I wasn't capable of doing the work, but I didn't have the resources that I needed. I wasn't given
Right.
the resources I needed to do my job
Mm.
even better. But I learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot, I think, and I'm thankful. I'm not going to say, oh my God, the experience was all, it was great and peachy because that would not be the truth and it wouldn't be realistic.
Yeah.
No experience in life is ever 100% peachy. But what I can say is what I took away from that was I learned about all the things I wanted to do and all the things I wanted to be and all the things that I didn't want to be. And coming off of that show shifted my perspective on integrity and how I wanted to move in my space and in my industry or in any other space. And I realized at that point where it was either I play the game and get to my destination faster and be less of myself, or I stay true to myself and I be myself 100% and take a little bit longer to get there.
Mhm.
I learned that and I'm forever thankful for that lesson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you telling us that. Like that was that's great insight for
Hell
sure.
yeah.
Because I think
Mhm.
especially in that industry, like it's got a lot of glitz and glam. So people think that,
Yeah.
oh, like you've been bestowed with this opportunity, like you know what I'm saying? And it's like, nah, like I think that's kind of the world where or just those kinds of jobs that people look at as kind of like glitz and glammy, those are the ones where you could easily be taken advantage of because it's like you should be happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like if you're a little
It's
bit of
like
a
that in
stronger
every
person, you're not going to
space.
feel that way.
I
Sorry,
mean,
what'd you say?
it's like that in every space, really. I mean, I
Right.
think it's just like it's amplified a little bit more because of the nature of the industry. But I think it's like that in every space. Like,
Mhm.
and
Right.
it's like that in the beauty industry. It's like that
Mhm.
it's like that everywhere.
Right.
And anywhere you go, especially as a Black person navigating the world, like and this is not like related to clause specifically. This is just a general statement.
Mhm.
People are going to make you feel like, oh no, you should be grateful to be here. And I'm
Right.
like, no, you should be grateful to be in my presence.
No,
Like,
yeah, right. In my
no,
presence.
you should
You
be
should be
grateful
grateful
to
I
be in my,
decided to show up today.
because
Oh
with my introverted, extroverted ass, I would rather be at home on the couch watching
yeah,
Amphibia.
yeah. Yeah,
Facts.
So
yeah.
like, but I'm like, yeah, you can really speak to that in any industry, in anything in life in
Yeah.
general. It is not even clause. People are just weird. Like
No,
people are
Yeah.
that's
just
right.
fucking
No, that's
weird.
right.
Yeah.
That's how it
But
Facts.
should
yeah,
be.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, definitely appreciate this conversation. You're funny as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was dope talking to you.
I was a comedian in a past life.
Hey, I want you to definitely also link as well as like all your social handles where they can get your NFTs. If you have any products that you got, you know, for sale, I don't know if you do or if you don't.
Oh, anything you want to
do.
promote?
You have a website. Like, let them know. Let them know everything.
This is your time to shine.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, let me start. And y'all see the little sun above my
Right.
screen.
Oh, like that Daisies in marriage, right?
If y'all want to check out my NFTs, y'all can check out my handle, Gracie, Graic. Is there an underscore? No, it's just, that's whatever. Yeah. Graic on OpenSea, Foundation, Rarible. If you want to check out my nail work, you can check me out on Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok at The Editorial Nail, which is
right under you.
Right there.
Right there.
And if y'all want to shop my products, my e-commerce, y'all can check out www.theeditorialnail.com. Thank you so much both for having me on the show today. This was so fun. This is one of the most fun interviews I've ever done.
Oh, that's lit to hear. That's lit to hear. Look at us.
Look
at us. We're decent interviewers. All right, it's lit. But yeah, Gracie, it was great having you on.
And definitely highlight you in New York, though, for sure.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, let's link up, definitely.
Peace. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Early.